Hi, I'm Hugh Sullivan, videographer for the Herald and Review, and I try to make any film or sketch that I'm working on into an exercise in something, or a learning experience. When I first started, I did a Christmas movie called Oh What a Laugh, and it was just, it was silly. It was my first attempt at filmmaking, and since I was testing the waters, I kind of just brought out all the toys that I could, and brought a lot of people. In hindsight, probably a little overkill, but I was just getting started.
Does it have a hot tub?
The second movie I worked on, called Enhance It, was kind of a parody of movies like The Bourne Identity, and so I used that as a way to kind of practice lighting, especially lighting with different colored gels and shooting with a person standing in front of a projector, stuff like that. Did a couple movies, one called Pusher Man and Pusher Man 2, The Reckoning, and those were both just exercises. A friend and I had some new equipment and decided to just kind of go running around downtown late at night and just kind of made up a script as we went, just to have kind of an excuse to tell a story, and so we were able to play around with some different camera angles. And then last year, The Masked Loiterer, and even the year before that, Operation Call Drop. Those were exercises in working with big groups of people. Call Drop, we had a big call center shoot with a lot of extras. And then The Masked Loiterer, I had a lot of extras, and it was a big outdoor shoot. So I definitely learned about hauling out a lot of equipment and yelling over people. A megaphone would have come in handy. So I try to make every shoot a learning experience.
Burn him at the stake!
But stylistically, I've been noticing that a lot of my stuff is pretty similar. A lot of quick jump cuts because it's comedy, and everything's very linear, not a ton of layers. And normally that's fine, because I like to keep things simple, I like to keep them clean, I don't want to over-process anything and dump a bunch of grungy color grading on it. I like to keep it pretty simple. But at the same time, I want to be prepared to use more texture or action or compositing if it helps tell the story. So recently we shot our second Batman sketch. If you've been over to my personal channel and seen some of my work, you may recognize Herald and Review entertainment reporter Jim Varell starring as Batman. So we did another shoot with him, and so these are a good chance to experiment with some compositing that I don't use in my normal work. Because with the Batman skyline, there's always a lot of clouds and the bat signal on the skyline. So I've already done that, and now I'm experimenting with doing some neon signage kind of on the rooftops and things like that. So it's a good way for me to kind of branch out of my comfort zone and try a little something new.
Don't look at me!
And I'm also trying to add camera movement whenever I can. And we're working on a script for a movie called Funbot, and it's a dark comedy. And there's one shot in particular where I know that I want to combine a Dolly Zoom with some practical lighting effects. If you're unfamiliar with Dolly Zoom, it's what Alfred Hitchcock used in the movie Vertigo, and since then it's been used in Jaws and Goodfellas and tons of movies. So I've been practicing that move. It's achieved by moving the camera forward while zooming out, or vice versa, moving the camera back and zooming in. So you can see here I had the GoPro attached to my head while I was testing this out at home with my slider, and I tried it with two different cameras. I tried it with a 5D Mark II using a 24-105 lens, and then I also tried it with my Canon XH-A1. So typically when I'm shooting films, I use the 5D Mark II. It's got a bigger sensor, and it lets you use the 35mm lenses, and so you get the film look. But actually, it has some drawbacks when you're doing this move. First, right off the bat, these cameras, when you're using these 35mm lenses, the depth of field is a lot more shallow. So it's difficult to keep your subject in focus when you're moving back and forth, especially when you're at the point where you're using a long focal length.
He drops out of focus. How are you going to not drop out of focus?
And then also, when you're using these zoom lenses, it's a manual zoom. When you turn that knob, you're pushing the glass forward. And so it's tricky to actually get it to move smoothly. So even though the Canon XH-A1 is shooting on a mini DV and it doesn't have, the lens isn't as nice, first off, it has a much wider range than the 24-105, so the zoom range is going to be a lot bigger, and it's also a servo zoom, which means that when I hit the zoom button or turn the knob, it's actually telling a computer to zoom the lens in, and so it does it a lot smoother. So I've been practicing with that for the past few days, and I'm pretty confident that once it comes time to start shooting FunBot, we'll be able to knock that shot out, and I'm really excited about that. So that's kind of my approach to getting out of a creative rut. If I think that I'm kind of getting stuck in one method or one way of doing things, I try and find an excuse to branch out. And so I'm always trying to dive in to something new to keep things fresh and to keep learning. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel. Go check out my personal channel where you can see some of the movies I was just talking about. And as always, check back every week where I'll be talking about my experiences behind the camera.